In recent years, the global financial landscape has experienced significant changes as the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, continue to challenge the dominance of the US dollar. The decline of the dollar's hegemony has been a topic of discussion for some time, and as these emerging economies gain power and influence, the prospect of a post-dollar world seems more plausible than ever. This shift in power dynamics has profound implications for the global economy, geopolitics, and the international community. The decline of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency is rooted in the geopolitical and economic factors that have been shaping the global financial order for decades. In response, the BRICS nations are pursuing an alternative currency system driven by their individual motivations and shared goals. This cooperation has the potential to reshape the global financial landscape and usher in a new era of monetary relations. Another country that has joined the trend of de-dollarization is Malaysia. Recently, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim proposed the establishment of a revolutionary Asia Monetary Fund aimed at reducing reliance on the US dollar. Malaysia's trade minister echoed these concerns, acknowledging Asia's dependency on the dollar and the need for a more diversified monetary system. As the world witnesses the power dynamics of the global economy shift, it is crucial to consider what a post-dollar world would mean for Malaysia as well as its neighboring countries. Policymakers and analysts must understand the complex factors at play in the decline of the dollar's dominance and the rise of the BRICS bloc as new forces in the global financial landscape. This will be essential for navigating the changing tides of the international economic system. Before we dive into Malaysia's decision to de-dollarize, let's quickly explain the concept of de-dollarization. De-dollarization refers to the process of reducing a country's dependence on the US dollar for international trade and financial transactions. This can be achieved by shifting towards other currencies, like the euro or the Chinese yuan, or by strengthening the country's own currency. Countries opt for de-dollarization for various reasons, including reducing vulnerability to fluctuations in the US dollar, promoting their own currency, and asserting greater financial independence from the United States. Now that we understand the concept of de-dollarization, let us go on and take the stance of why Malaysia is pushing for de-dollarization. This can be understood as a response to a complex interplay of economic, political, and strategic factors. Examining these driving forces is essential for comprehending the broader implications of this move on the regional and global financial landscape. Firstly, reducing vulnerability to external shocks is a key motivation behind Malaysia's de-dollarization efforts. A heavy reliance on the US dollar exposes Malaysia and other Asian economies to fluctuations in the dollar's value or changes in US monetary policy. By diversifying their monetary base, these countries can mitigate the risk associated with such shocks and create more stable financial environments. Secondly, fostering regional economic cooperation is a central aspect of Malaysia's de-dollarization strategy. The proposed Asia Monetary Fund is a clear manifestation of this objective, as it seeks to strengthen economic ties among Asian nations, facilitate intra-regional trade, and encourage the use of local currencies in transactions. This initiative aligns with Malaysia's broader aim of promoting regional integration and collaboration. Another factor driving Malaysia's de-dollarization is the desire to counter US influence in the region. By reducing its dependency on the US dollar, Malaysia seeks to assert greater control over its monetary policy and diminish the power that the US holds in shaping the region's economic landscape. This move can be seen as a strategic attempt to promote a more balanced distribution of power in the global financial system. Enhancing economic resilience and autonomy is also a key motivation for Malaysia's de-dollarization efforts. By diversifying its monetary base and reducing reliance on the US dollar, Malaysia can strengthen its economic resilience, better withstand currency fluctuations, and foster a more self-reliant financial system. This approach ultimately contributes to the country's long-term economic stability and growth. And lastly, Malaysia's pursuit of de-dollarization is a response to the changing global financial landscape. With the rise of the BRICS nations and other emerging economies, Malaysia is positioning itself to adapt and thrive in this new environment. De-dollarization is part of a broader strategy to remain competitive and relevant in an increasing multipolar world. Malaysia's pursuit of de-dollarization, driven by strategic and economic motivations, is not without its challenges. The transition away from the US dollar as the dominant global reserve currency presents several obstacles that must be carefully navigated to ensure the success of de-dollarization efforts. One significant challenge lies in the entrenched role of the US dollar in the global financial system. Its long-standing status as the global reserve currency and deep entrenchment in international trade make it difficult for businesses to quickly abandon it. The dollar's stability, liquidity, and widespread acceptance in trade transactions will likely continue to make it an attractive option for traders and investors, even as Malaysia and other countries push for alternative currency systems. Another challenge stems from the need to coordinate and cooperate among regional partners. Promoting the rise of local currencies and establishing a new monetary fund requires a united front from all parties involved. Ensuring commitment to the goals of de-dollarization may prove difficult, given the diverse economic interests and political dynamics within the region. Additionally, the Asia Monetary Fund or other regional currency initiatives must be seen as trustworthy and credible alternatives to the US dollar in order to gain traction. Building this trust and credibility will require time and effort, as well as the development of strong financial institutions and regulatory frameworks that support these new monetary systems. Moreover, potential backlash from the United States poses another challenge. As countries like Malaysia move to reduce their reliance on the US dollar, they may face opposition from the United States, which has a vested interest in maintaining the dollar's dominance. This could lead to diplomatic tensions or even economic sanctions, which could undermine the success of de-dollarization efforts. Lastly, transitioning away from the US dollar may expose Malaysia and other countries to increased currency volatility and economic uncertainty. The process of de-dollarization could create short-term disruptions in financial markets, potentially leading to negative economic consequences for the countries involved in the process. As Malaysia pursues de-dollarization, it is essential to consider the potential impact on the country's economy. This transition may have both short-term and long-term effects, influencing various aspects of Malaysia's economic landscape. In the short term, the process of de-dollarization could introduce a degree of volatility and uncertainty in Malaysia's financial markets. As businesses and investors adapt to the new monetary system, they may face challenges in navigating fluctuations in exchange rates and changes in market dynamics. This period of adjustment may result in temporary disruptions to trade and investment, potentially affecting the country's economic growth. However, over the long term, de-dollarization may yield significant benefits for Malaysia's economy. By reducing its dependence on the US dollar, Malaysia can mitigate the risks associated with fluctuations in the dollar's value and changes in US monetary policy. This increased stability can contribute to a more predictable and stable economic environment, fostering growth and investment. De-dollarization may also enhance Malaysia's economic autonomy, allowing the country to pursue monetary policies that best serve its unique needs and objectives. This greater control over economic policy can empower Malaysia to respond more effectively to domestic and regional economic challenges, ultimately promoting a more resilient and self-reliant economy. Furthermore, as Malaysia embraces de-dollarization, it may foster stronger regional economic cooperation and integration. The proposed Asia Monetary Fund and other initiatives aimed at promoting the use of local currencies can facilitate intra-regional trade, enhance economic ties among Asian nations, and diversify Malaysia's trade partners. This diversification can create new opportunities for growth and expand Malaysia's access to new markets. Lastly, by positioning itself at the forefront of the de-dollarization movement, Malaysia can enhance its reputation as an economic leader in the region. This may attract foreign investment and encourage innovation, ultimately contributing to the long-term prosperity and competitiveness of the Malaysian economy. As Malaysia and other nations embark on de-dollarization efforts, the potential impact on the global economy merits close scrutiny. Malaysia's plan to reduce its reliance on the US dollar is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader trend indicating shifts in the global financial landscape. One of the most significant implications is the potential rebalancing of economic power. As more countries diversify their reserve currencies and diminish their reliance on the US dollar, we may see an increasingly multipolar global economy. This would mark a shift away from a US-centric financial system, creating a more balanced distribution of economic power. The rise of regional monetary funds, like the proposed Asia Monetary Fund, signifies a strengthening of intra-regional economic cooperation. This could accelerate the economic growth of the participating nations and enhance regional stability. It also presents a potential challenge to established institutions like the International Monetary Fund, hinting at a possible restructuring of global financial governance. However, this trend could also usher in a period of increased currency volatility and economic uncertainty. The transition from a dollar-dominant world to a more diverse financial landscape might create instability, especially during the adjustment period. This could affect global trade patterns and international investment flows. Lastly, a reduction in the global role of the US dollar might influence the power dynamics in international politics, given the close link between economic and political power. Countries like Malaysia, seeking to assert more financial independence, might also seek a greater role in global governance, leading to potential shifts in the geopolitical landscape. But anyway, do let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.